What's up, chat? My microphone was hardware muted. Let's go! It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical today. And yesterday we had a frank discussion about the state of the Space Marine faction. I thought that would be an interesting topic to dive into today. So what I did this morning was I delved through some of the X and 1 results from, or the, at least towards the top results of the recent GTs from this past week. And I think one thing I'd like to discuss is a little bit of, first of all, Chaos factions are everywhere. I think the year of Chaos has finally sort of materialized and come upon us, because as I was looking at all these events, it's like a Necron player, and then 12 Chaos factions, and then like a Space Marine player. I was like, fair enough, you know? Which was kind of a funny revelation that I had. Like, finally, the Chaos factions are doing it. The foretold, as was foretold, they've taken over the metagame. But also, I think it's going to be an interesting discussion to talk about how the Space Marine super faction may end up changing and what it might need to do to retain its relevance. So I think that is what we're gonna do today. It's good. Tyrants will eventually eat it all. They'll pull them into their holes that they dig. You think that Subterranean Assault was a response to Helldivers 2, chat? Because Helldivers 2, that's how the Terminids get everywhere. And you think that G-Dub was like, you know what? We should do that too. I know it was a sub-faction back in the day, but it is what it is. Are we counting divergent chapters? Yeah, non-compliant chapters? Yes, of course. Those are Space Marine chapters. For sure. What are the green boxes? Oh, that's for another project, actually. Unrelated to TacticalTortoise, but it's actually for a laser device. That is a laser etcher that I am working on something unrelated. But it's cool, and it was green, and I liked it, so it's on my desk. It's really sweet, actually. So I put my name on my wallet. I don't know where it ended up, but anyway, it's over, I think, on the other side of the room. But yeah, that's what that's for, which is kind of sweet. Super A3s that have cyclonic torpedoes, yeah. Well, they want to keep all their planets so they can put suburbs on them, so they can't cyclonic torpedo all the planets. That would be bad. All right. So we talked about the results of Edmonton Open yesterday. What I want to dive into today are some of the other GTs from this week, with a focus on Space Marine chapters. And the first thing that stuck out to me was that Space Marines lost in the semifinals and ended up 7-1 with 2 7-1 placements at ACO, which is, in fairness, a very good showing. You lose to Death Guard, okay, fine. I guess you could lose to the like probably going to be nerfed next week faction that is clearly too powerful. I think that's an okay spot to be in if that's one of your only losses. But we have David Anderson, Mark Hurdle, both here with Space Marines. A little bit of a shout out, not a Space Marine faction anymore. Who remembers when they were Space Marine factions and they could use Space Marine relics and warlord traits and stuff? That was wild. Grey Knights, X and 1 2, which I guess we'll talk about as well. And there's also some similar results from other GTs this weekend. Anyway, laser Tyranids look on my leg. Ow. Ouchie. Reddit seems to have encouraging results with early Chaos Knights testing, assuming the points will, with Questoris frames at 335 points, is correct. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting paradigm shift, I think, because, like, a lot of the time we're really focused on this MSU sort of meta we're in right now, where a lot of armies are running. I just built a Space Wolves army, by the way, with 11 individual little 5-man units or smaller 3-mans. They get 3-man units, like running around, and those, like, with their powers combined, can do 1 trillion damage, or score a really high land scenario. And that's where a lot of these factions are going. I think Chaos Knights is going to be, and Imperial Knights later is probably going to be a big paradigm shift if they're good, because they are going to be focusing on these big chunky boys that, if you are keyed to kill MSU, you might not be that excited about. So one thing I was like considering is that I'm playing Subterranean Assault competitively right now, and I'm taking a lot of units that are designed explicitly to kill screens and small 5-mans, and I'm like, should I be doing that? Should I be reorienting to kill big stuff? I don't know. I just don't know is the question, and so we'll find out, I suppose. You'd like to offer me an alternative challenge to triple drone pour. Speed freaks with max, def coptas, and war bikers. Rest is my choice. Ooh. That's why Chaos Demons is doing well. Big boys that can be handled easily. Yeah, that's a good call out too. They're basically knights with extra steps. At this point, which is one thing that's really funny, is that, like, as an aside, I saw some people complaining about the cost differential between a greater demon and a knight. And I was like, well, knights have bigger numbers on their stat line. And then I was like, is that true? Do they? And the answer is like, not really. You compare to a grid and clean one. A knight is faster, it can move through walls, it's got better shooting, but it's like the same level of survivability, if not worse, because its invulnerable save is worse. Knights typically like have more impactful melee attacks, but attack less times. So the melee attacks even aren't particularly like that much stronger for a knight, and a knight's like 150 points more. I was like, yeah, actually, greater demons are kind of like knights now. Maybe not the squishier boys, maybe not like Bloodthirsters and Lords of Change, but obviously those are like significantly cheaper. But the big guys, the character guys, and the Nurgle guys, like it's actually kind of a side grade when you think about it, which is a little bit wild. So I thought that was really interesting, and definitely a pivot towards anti-knight technology may also be good against Chaos Demons, which again is another one of the Chaos factions that's doing really well currently. So. 100 crew talks versus 1 Primarch. Who will win? All right. Here's the question. Is it the lion? Because if so, I think he just kills an infinite number of them. Because they'll just like, maybe not an infinite number, but he will kill a lot of them. Because he'll probably kill an entire unit with fights first every single fight phase. And I don't know how many crew talks you get to fight him. Like maybe 2 units, so you might punch him with 1 unit, and then he'll kill 1 unit. So he'll die eventually, I guess. So maybe it is the crew talks. Now I'm rethinking myself. I guess if it's like, I don't know, is any of the, I guess that none of the Trader Primarchs are like particularly good against crew talks anymore. I would have said Angron previously, potentially, but I don't know if I don't know if he's got the stopping power now. And Magnus certainly doesn't. He has the survivability, but I don't think he's going to punch through because of his half damage thing. Greater demons used to be closer to tiered big bugs. They seem to have been buffed somewhere in the past 10 years. Yeah. Well, it was when they released plastic kits, because they released plastic kits that were on like the oval bases that were enormous. So because they used to be on like actual 40 millimeter bases or 60 millimeter bases, right? They were like a dreadnought, and that's what they were statted to be. They were like, oh, look at how big he is. He's like 11 feet tall. And you're like, oh, okay. He's just got kind of a big man. And then they were like, no. That when 40K like scale creepified in like 6th edition and 7th edition pretty hard, and everything kind of like stretched. So you started to get bigger vehicles, and that's where like all the super heavies in plastic came from. Previously, it was like resin only, and then we started to get huge monsters and stuff like that. So that was a big part of it. Like a Carnifex used to be the biggest thing on a table in 5th edition. You saw a Carnifex, you could build a Deathbug Carnifex that was like 6 wounds to the 2+ save, it regenerated its wounds. And it was like impossible to kill. 1 Carnifex. And now you look at a Carnifex, you're like, the fuck is this little piece of shit? I'm gonna kill him with a power fist. So it's interesting question. Have I won anything with Thousand Suns or Chaos Knights? Thousand Suns for sure. I have not played with Chaos Knights yet because they don't have the final points. But I will once we play the final points. I have won with Thousand Suns though. I've won. Oh, I'm 2-1 with Thousand Suns. I lost 1 game, and then in Index I won the shit ton with Thousand Suns. My win rate was enormous. Biggest thing at 3rd edition was that tiny OG Hive Tyrant. Yeah. He's now like he turned into a tiered prime for a while, I think. All right, let's talk about lists, folks. I want to talk about Space Marines for a bit. So we've got Mr. Anderson over here. So this is at ACO, Champions Cup, second place, 6-1 finish was David Anderson. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this list because guess what it is? Chat, it's Gladius Task Force. Oh, it's not Ultramarines, though. Oh, it's actually just generic Space Marines. It's actually kind of sweet. All right, well, just kidding. We might spend a little bit of time on this list. I thought this was Ultramarines. As soon as I saw Gladius Task Force with an Artificer Armor Gravis Captain, I was like, I wrote it off. But this is actually just a regular ass list. This is cool. So we're saving ourselves 500-ish points on those characters. They don't have the same level of like optimization anymore. Now that you can't stack all of the CP generators, so we are just going to be playing regular Space Marines with a bunch of dudes. This includes Honor Vehement Captain, Artificer Armor Gravis Captain, Fire Discipline Lieutenant. So we have Sustained Lethal on the Lieutenant. Obviously, it lost its 5 criticals, but and I think they reduced its points value. Is that right, chat? I'm gonna fact check myself on that because it was like 40 points for a while, even though it only gave you Sustain on ranged attacks only. It is 25 points now. For Sustained Hits 1, Devastator Doctrine, you get to reroll advance rolls. Which is actually kind of a funny ability. If you dual attach it with like Calgar, you can reroll advance rolls and then still charge, which is kind of sweet. But obviously, we're not doing that here today. Anthrax. Scale Creep started in... Oh, you started in 5th. Took a long break, so it's see how things have changed? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did the same thing. I played when I was a kid in 4th and 5th, and I played like 2 games of 6th edition. I was like, this fucking sucks. This is the worst. And I went to college and started playing War Machine and Horde, so I didn't play for a while. And then I came back in 8th, and I was like, what the fuck is this game? What is a stratagem? Pretty wild. The shakeup was enormous. Excuse me. It's a librarian, not a lieutenant. We have a combi weapon lieutenant, but this is a standard librarian, so he's giving the invuln save. We're probably playing with Hellblasters, if I had to imagine. We have an assault intercessor squad, standard impulsor, carrying around the assault intercessors plus the honor vehement guy. Do some punching. I heard great things about that guy over the weekend, by the way. Honor Vehement, I think, has flown under the radar for far too long. Double Assault Jump Pack Intercessors. 1 Gladiator Reaper. Very nice. 1 Inceptor Squad with Plasmas. It's only a 3-man for mostly utility, I guess. It's also, I guess, theoretically, it's pretty good into, like, Death Shrouds, right? Heavy infantry stuff, because you could just clip out a 3-man really easily. Again, we're paying heed to the like MSU metagame because we're taking these little units that can jump in and kill like little opposing units. But again, like you'd want a big unit if you're trying to fight other vehicles and stuff. Like the big unit of 6 that you can dump all of your buffs into and then absolutely vaporize them. Last time I ran blank Marines is just to learn. I know, yeah, it's crazy to run Marines. It's not only that it's Marines with no epic heroes, or it's not even that it's generic Marines that aren't Ultramarines. It's Marines with no epic heroes, so there's no chapter benefits whatsoever. Like this list could slot in Caven, right, for something. Right? I don't know what you would take out, and then you just get like you get OC2 JPIs or whatever, but you have to pay 100 points for a character you might not want. So I don't know. I guess the other characters are kind of like whatever. Vulcan's good, but he's a build around. You could take Adrax, actually. Adrax is kind of neat if you're just playing a regular list. But I guess like we're probably shooting a little harder with this stuff, so I don't know if we need the melee buff. But he's like a good just random inclusion if you're not playing Ultramarines. We have, let's see, Gladiator Reaper, 1 Inceptor Squad, 1 Incursor Squad for +1 to hit, an Infiltrator Squad, 1 Repulsor Executioner, Scout Squad, Stern Guard Veterans, 1 Vindicator. This list is sick. All right, so we have the Stern Guard Veterans where the Librarian's going to go, so they can bail out, eat shooting on the 4+ invuln save, and then reactively re-embark if they're jumping out of the Repulsor Executioner. So that unit's really awkward to interact with. the benefit that you get from sustained versus lethal hits with these guys, like versus attaching a, well, first of all, you get full rerolls when you're attacking your oath target. So, if we're full rerolling, the librarian shoots the hardest out of basically any of the character options. So, and when he overcharges his smite, he's shooting a devastating weapon. So when you're targeting your oath target and the Strike Guard veterans are giving you hit and wound rerolls, you're adding an additional devastating weapon to the pool rather than adding like a character who might not do as much. The sustained hits is also good because you can trigger additional devastating versus like lethal from the lieutenant, for example, which would bypass your devastating ability on all of the Stern Guard weapons. So the sustained is definitely the higher value option here, and then also like just having sort of generic synergy between the librarian and the Stern Guard veterans makes sense. So these guys are just going to dumpster one thing and then be like really awkward to engage us on the crackback. You could also just like squad tactics them. So your opponent has to play around 2 reactive effects that they can have because you're playing Gladius task force. So if they're just like vibing next to a repulsor, like what are you going to do to them? You're going to come up and try to attack them? They're going to run away. You're going to charge them? They're going to run away. You're going to shoot them? They're going to 4+ invuln. So that's cute. I like it. We've got a Vindicator, Repulsor Executioner for some big shoots. We also get an another transport option with the Executioner. I don't know what you'd put in that guy, if there's anything in particular. I guess you could put, like, honestly, like the Gravis Captain could maybe go in just to jump out and go do stuff in the early game. It basically gives him extra movement. You can also tote around the Incursors, and then the Incursors can, like, bump your ballistic skill onto stuff. What does Adrax do? He is full. Let me pop back to my. I'll pull up his datasheet real quick. He has full wound rerolls in melee for the whole unit. Obviously, the awkward part is that like you have to lock into salamanders to take him, and he's kind of limited on his like his attachment options. I believe he can attach to like assault intercessors and stuff, but it's like Blade Guard veterans is the place you really want him to be, so you have to kind of build around him. But he himself is just kind of like just this nuts like beat stick. He's strength 10 AP2 flat 3 damage in melee, full reroll to wounds to his whole team, and then he has like a flamer and he has enemy objective control when he's nearby. So this dude running around with like 3 Blade Guard veterans just to trigger the leadership ability actually hits like kind of a truck. So they're like hitting on 2s. They give him reroll 1s to hit thanks to their like offensive combat stance. So he's full rerolls hit and wound. And then if you like honor the chapter, he can be basically like wounding vehicles on like 3s or 4s, full rerolls, AP 3 damage. So he's like awkwardly hard to kill too. He's a base 2+ armor save because salamanders like staple a bunch of extra shit to their armor, I guess. So he's just like, in terms of a stat brick, he's like wild. He's one of those characters that you look at and you're like, you know, why are we not funding this? But it's largely because you might as well play Ultramarines. Yeah, I had a cough there. A little dry throat today. Yeah, unit that does need Oath too, for sure. And then the Blade Guard veterans also, like, assuming, even if you're swinging up into T10, they're winning on 5s with Honor the Chapter and then rerolling wound rolls. So, like, 12 attacks from Blade Guard veterans is actually going to chip damage into, even if you just have a 3-man. And that boat is only, like, that whole brick is only, like, 160 points, I think. It's really inexpensive for what you get, like, for the amount of value that you get. It's pretty cool. So, I like Adrax. He's definitely, like, he's probably one of the best epic heroes, like, in Space Marines, if not, like edging in 40k. But the problem is the competition for chapter keyword is, like, so fierce in Space Marines that it's hard to include him. But we're just running the Honor Vehement guy. But the benefit is that you could run 2 and you'd have 2, like, super beat stick units. But I guess it's tough when we're spending 300 points on this, like, Stern Guard veteran thing, plus the repulsor. Like, this build in particular, I think, is a little bit too tight on playables to fit him in. But Definitely, if you don't know what your chapter keyword you're playing, it's a good one. Don't think you've ever read Adrex's datasheet. Yeah, he's crazy. the Salamander datasheets are absolutely wild. It's funny because they, like, both Adrex and Vulcan are like ludicrous. The problem is that they require you have to play around them, right? Is one of the issues. Here's Vulcan, by the way. Vulcan, you have to build your army around because his ability doesn't do anything if you don't have units that you are gonna be using it on. But he's also buffing like some of the best like weapon profiles or like most efficient weapon profiles in the game to be like hyper effective. Plus, he himself is like kind of nutty. He's a 2+, 4+ with 5 wounds and potentially a 4+ field no pain, with 6 melee attacks and a D6 plus 3 strength 6 flamer. So like his top line profile, you wouldn't take it by itself, but it's like fine. And then he also gives you this like synergy ability that's crazy. And then like some funny stuff with like Infernus Marines if you want to play those guys in Impulsors or whatever. Aggressors and Vanguard veterans give Firestorm on their release on life. Yeah. The weird part is that he doesn't have synergy with aggressors because they don't benefit from his thing. But if you're playing Firestorm and you're playing like the devastating wound aggressor combo, then like you almost might as well take Vulcan if you're not playing Ultramarines because the rest of your army is probably close range shooting, and that's what he's buffing anyway. 10 Vanguard veterans with hand flamers. Yeah, that tracks too. Because he can give wound rerolls and then he can give devastating wounds to them for sure. Especially, yeah, that unit's like 180 points now, right? And then also like they just lose their 4+ invuln save, but like otherwise they hit just as hard. So if you can set up a situation where you're like rapid ingress them in, and then just like wander up to a unit, kill a tank with flamers, and then like wander over to another unit and stab it to death. That you can also like Crucible battle them in Firestorm. Like the value, 190 points looks like. The value you can get from that unit is crazy. Downside is AP1, but it is what it is. We can't all be winners, I guess. Yeah, the jump captain also went down, so you can push them to strength 6 as well on their melee attack. There's probably some Firestorm play that we haven't unlocked quite yet, for sure. Trying the Brick and Righteous Crusaders with critical 5s. Oh, that seems good. Yeah, I'll buff that. I'll buy it. I'll buy that for $1. All non-Ultramarine characters are pretty decent. They're just strict downgrades from Gilliam and Calgar. Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree. I think like there's some stinkers in there. Oh, I think it's mostly Pharaohs. Oh, and Corsarocon's like kind of a piece of shit. Which sucks. He's like cheap, which is fine. But he's not really doing anything you're that excited about. And it's also weird that he has no his like special leadership unit, which is Outriders, he has no internal synergy with. Like between those two data sheets, beyond that ability, he doesn't do anything to buff them. He can't be delivered by them. He can't be benefited by their attack, by their special rule, because he can't join them. He can't give them lance. He's just a guy. He's just a man. So like, I mean, he's like fine, right? But he's a weird one. He doesn't really know what he's like trying to do, in terms of his role in the army. I think the same is true of Fieros. There's like funny stuff you do with Fieros with like the feel no pain onto big like a heavy intercessor squads or whatever, but he's like got a really confused design where he's trying to do vehicle stuff and then also buff an infantry squad, and then nothing he does is like offensive. He just is he's like a slightly better tech marine, so like 90% of the time you might as well just take a tech marine. I remember when he released in 8th edition. I mean, he was really broken. He granted an invuln which affected everything, so you just take it on everybody. But his melee profile was like really wild for the time. He had I think an AP 2/3 damage bolter. The heavy bolter on his shoulder was instead of being sustained 2 like the new like mastercrafted heavy bolters were, it was +1 AP and damage, and that profile was actually like, kind of wild. That caught people out quite a bit because he would just randomly like chunk tanks for 6 damage. He doesn't really do that anymore. I think he was also 3 damage in melee too, so he was like randomly a really strong like top line profile, or weapon profiles. But he's okay now. I guess he's got 8 attacks, which is cute, but like I don't know the situation outside of like renting memes where I would kind of want to play either of these two guys, because I think like I can just get better value from a generic version of them, which sucks. But like Vulcan and Adrax give you like totally, and even Tor give you totally unique effects, right? Here's Inky. Don't think Furious is Belial tier. No, he does things. He doesn't like actively make your army shittier, for sure. But he's just like I don't know. Like the data sheet's fine, but like I don't know a situation where I would like I'd be interested in taking in a Space Marine army, unless I was like memeing with heavy intercessors, of course. But anyway, chat. That's a lot of discussion about non-Ultramarine Gladius Task Force. First of all, congratulations, David Anderson, going 7-1, no sub-faction. You love to see it. Gladius Task Force just good enough to continue to see play. Let's talk about Hurdle's list. A flashbang there. I always stop learning and learn to love Land Raiders. Is this triple Land Raider? 1, 2, 3 Land Raider. We moved to Crusader. Oh, hey, we have a Crusader. Double Redeemer Crusader. That's interesting. So, Hurdle, if you haven't watched Hurdle's games before, I've streamed him. I believe that he's been streamed on Wargames Live quite a bit. This man loves Land Raiders, and he loves playing the most aggressive game of 40k you've ever seen. Because he just basically deploys on the line and then runs at you, and then like threat overloads you to the point where you can't deal with anything, and then you explode. So the Ultramarine like Wombo combo is pretty good there, because Marnius Calgar can play very aggressively, and he can do a trillion damage. He can buff the speed of his unit by letting them advance and do stuff, and then he's really hard to kill in the crackback. So a lot of times Calgar eats like the majority of like irrelevant attacks for a turn to take down, right? Because you have to punch through his unit, so he's 16 wounds at a like probably AOC'd with -1 to be wounded, then probably 17 wounds if you have to get through a Victrix Hunter Guard. Then you have to get through 6 wounds with a 2+ AOC'd, 4+ Feel No Pain. And then you have to kill the Victrix Honor Guard if you want to actually get rid of the second unit. So like killing all of that is super difficult, especially when you're playing around Gladius Task Force like reactive stuff. And then behind like that is basically like screening attacks for 3 Land Raiders and Gilliman. So the next turn, Gilliman's in range to charge you, and he just like calls Assault Doctrine and then puts a Primarch into your face. And then you have to, after you've put all of your energy into killing Calgar, you have to kill Gilliman and then flip him over and then hope that he doesn't flip back up. And then if he does, you have to kill him again. So like it's 2 characters that are super duper difficult to kill. And then you're backing that up with 48 wounds on a T12 like 2+ chassis body with a lot of defensive technology, because you can use smoke and armor contempt on them. Now, obviously, we don't have as many CP to like buff the aggression as we did previously, but the basic like mechanics of the list are still strong. You don't lose a CP in transports. That's a good call out, actually. Like Calgar can actually just go in a transport and you don't have to feel bad about it, or in reserve. I used to drop Calgar and then be like, yeah, my rapid ingress is basically free because I'm about to rapid ingress him and then get a CP on my turn. But which would also help him like get to weird places on the battlefield. But it also like it did feel bad losing the CP on turn 1, especially because if you play him with Gilliman, Gilliman doesn't generate his own free strat on the top of turn 1. So if your opponent like comes in and gets shots on you top of the first turn, you actually just have to pay like CP for it. So you actually feel kind of CP strapped. I kind of wish that. I wonder if maybe they should have chosen to change Gilliman's timing to start a battle round like all the other Primarchs have. Or many of the other Primarchs. I shouldn't say all of them. But it's weird that he has a command phase timing that like is good for flexibility, but also gives you this like weird situation where you like lose efficiency with it, which is just like kind of a feel bads for the Ultramarine player. I don't know. Might get Uriel again. I could see it. He has to target specific units now, right? Uriel targets Gravis, Phobos, or Tacticus. Oh, but I guess it doesn't really matter what Caligar's doing because he's always a Gravis unit, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's weird that Uriel Ventress... Is Uriel Ventress a Primaris guy? Let's look at his model. Because it's weird that he doesn't benefit Firstborn Marines. Like, he can't Deep Strike a Devastator squad. Oh, I'm on Warhammer Community. Of course I can't find him. This would be easier if my cat wasn't sitting on my arm right now. Uriel Ventress is... He is a Primaris guy now. He's got the Tacticus armor on. So I guess it doesn't make that, it's not that wild that he doesn't buff the Firstborn guys. But he was like perennially a Firstborn character, right? Because he had all the old novels like back in the early 2000s. Way back in the day. That would be cool though. All right, what are we playing here today in this list? So it's running Chief Librarian Tigurius. He is, I think that usually Mark attaches him into a Starting Guard veteran squad. Yeah, so you get a unit with Overwatch or Go to Ground for free, which is nice. Plus, they give you the wound rerolls when you target the Oath target, and Tigurius fires a 2d6 multi-damage Storm of the Emperor's Wrath. So his offensive psychic power is actually really powerful. So he can represent a ton of damage. Marnie Scoutguard, Buta Gilliman, Combi Weapon Lieutenant to do Combi Weapon Lieutenant stuff. There's one Intercessor Squad to hold the back line. A Jump Back Assault Intercessor Squad for utility. Centurion Devastator Squad gets delivered by one of the Redeemers. So you can do funny stuff like pop to Devastator Doctrine and then advance the one of the Land Raiders like to a weird position where you weren't expecting, and then 3 Devastators pop out. So you could potentially be moving up to 18 inches and then delivering 3 Devastators. And then this unit is really good in Devastator Doctrine with Storm of Fire because they've got Grav Cannons. So they're a base AP1, don't ignore cover, but you can put them to AP2 ignore cover. And they're anti-vehicle, like really hardcore, so they'll probably just blow up a tank from like a weird angle. We have a Company Hero Squad, triple Land Raiders, 1 Crusader, double Redeemers. I actually think Land Raider Crusaders are wildly underrated because they're a big stat block, and then they do get to the point where they shoot so many bolter shots. It's 24 twin linked bolter shots when they're in rapid fire range. And they shoot so many that they actually start to accrue damage onto stuff, especially like low T infantry. And then they're also like, they're bringing in an assault cannon, they're bringing in multi-melta. So like there's attacks on them that aren't like, that you can't just like ignore. Hi. Oh, my graceful cat, chat. Welcome. She's really excited about Land Raider Redeemers. Or Land Raider Crusaders, I should say. Inky, you want to say hi to chat? There she is. She's my headrest. I don't put a headrest on my chair because I get this cat here who will do it for me. Aw, thanks, baby. She's so worried about my comfort. And then they are the same defensive stats, or the same top line as the Redeemers. So they actually pull a lot of focus from the Redeemers. So, like, in situations where your opponent might only have a couple units that can kill the Redeemers, like, you can trade them for the Crusader early. Otherwise, they have to deal with this big, like, moron that's just, like, running around their deployment zone. And, like, they're still OC5. They're still, you know, a bunch of wounds. They don't hit terribly in melee. It's not good, obviously, but it's not, like, it's significantly better than a Rhino or whatever, like an equivalent battle tank. They're still firing a multi-belt at you with Oaths of Moment. So it's like a relevant profile that you have to deal with, and then in doing so, you may have to expose the assets that you would use to kill Land Raider Redeemers. I think that this Mark's list used to include a what do you call those little guys with the rocket launchers? A Desolation Squad, but I think that I imagine that the Desolators took a lot of command points to run, because you basically have to allot CP for Adaptive Strategy for Devastator Doctrine and for Storm of Fire to make them super good, so you can give them +1 AP. And if you can do all that plus the Oaths of Moment target, they get a ton of value. But it's 2 CP a turn, and when you're only generating 2 CP, that's like 100% of your output rather than only 66% of your output. And so I think that's probably a little bit too much. So we added another Land Raider instead of that unit, which is actually kind of sick. Plus, you can do the same thing, I guess, with these guys, right? Like, because you can Storm of Fire them if you're shooting into like a Marine equivalent profile, right? Like a 3+ save, 2 wounds. You shoot 24 shots, potentially wounding on 3s or 2s, full rerolls. If you oathed them, AP1 ignore cover and Devastator Doctrine. So this Crusader will actually like chunk for damage, right? You're probably getting like 22 hits, and then if you're wounding on 3s rerolling, that's like you're probably only dropping like 2 wounds or something. So it's like 20 AP1 ignore cover saves plus their Stormbolter. So they have the plus like assault cannon Stormbolter. So they'll almost certainly kill like 10 wounds of like 3+ save guys. The less Desolators, the better. Rude. How dare you? So Land Raider Crusaders, chats. You'll have to see it. All right, I want to put a pin in this Grey Knights list that's over here for a sec, and I want to talk about some other Space Marines real quick. I think I had one more in my notes that I wanted to discuss. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Blood Angels for a moment, because Blood Angels are kind of the last best hope for peace, I guess. And they also did pretty well this weekend. So over on Adeptus Bastardes, Jonathan Arkin from Happy Crumping Wargaming, so he's from the YouTube channel if you've seen those guys over there. He went 4-1 with Blood Angels, second place. This was 31 players, yeah. For the weekend, so not a huge GT, but not small, and he only dropped 1 game and had good tiebreakers at the end there. Between his non-loss games, he dropped 8 points over 4 games. Or excuse me, that's not right. 12 points. 12 points over 4 games, which is not a lot. No peace, only chaos. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only Chaos Space Marine sub-factions. Yeah, let's talk about this Liberator Assault Group. So we actually had a really long discussion, and I promised that I would make it into a clip, but I didn't. And instead, I think what I might do is just do a Getting Started with Blood Angels video. I'm restarting my Getting Started channel. Like the next couple weeks, I have some extra free time because I don't have as many live streams until July. So I have a couple of Getting Started videos that I have recorded. That will go down like buy lists and basic tactics for factions. We're going to talk about World Eaters and Death Guard next, but I think I might do Blood Angels after that just because they're very relevant right now. And we had a very long discussion on the Twitch stream last week about whether or not to take Chief Librarian Mephiston. I'm of the opinion that he, in some matchups, he's like, worst case scenario, he's a lone operative. So he's just going to score you points and wander around and hold objectives. And he's good. Best case scenario, he straight up wins you the game because your opponent doesn't have any way to profitably engage with him. So like what he does is essentially like he forces the fight in the middle of the table by threatening control of the center objective. And he gives you the choice. Either you have to feed the Blood Angels player units to contest. You can charge him to try to kill him. He'll fight first and gain value. And then maybe he'll die. Maybe he doesn't die. Sometimes he doesn't die because he's fucking ridiculously hard to kill. But even if he dies, you've just fed a very valuable counterattack unit into the Blood Angels army, and they're going to pick that up for free. Third option, you move up to shoot him. Because he's lone operative, you have to be within 12. Obviously, the same thing could happen. He may just not die. But assuming that he does die, you've now moved within, at the worst, 18 inches of an entire Blood Angels army, and you're about to die. So he basically just asks your opponent to trade significantly down into him, or he scores you points passively. And some armies don't have those options available. Like they aren't fast enough to get to 12 inches. They don't have the a good enough melee to like engage with him, or they don't have like the extra utility units in position to contest. And he just holds your objectives down for free. So I think he's really good, and I think he's underplayed. But I don't know. We'll see. Teams 100% Mephiston? Yeah, I mean, he's for sure like he's basically worth a differential point by himself for sure. And then also like you can finagle him into matchups where your opponent has like no good answer to him, and then he just sucks. He's a Blood Angel equivalent of Sacrifice the Queen. Yeah, basically. And he's not even the queen. He's like what's the chess equivalent of Mephiston? He's just like a really good piece. He's like a rook, I guess, or like a bishop, you know? It's like we're not even giving up like this huge thing that's gonna like change the entire like course of the game, where he's a relatively inexpensive character. He doesn't have a unit attachment, and is like he's not the fastest thing ever. He is fast, but he's not Commander Dante fast. But he's just like very valuable. Was Lone Op reverted to 12, back to 12 inches? No, Lone Op's always been 12 inches.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. Could we see if there are any high placing but maybe not winning GT lists for Cult of Speed over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, we can take a peek after this for sure. Yeah, so stratagems that say that you cannot be targeted by range attacks out of a certain distance have all been retroactively changed to say 18 inches. Lone Operative's never changed, though. And in fact, it's gotten better because a lot of the things that deal mortal wounds at range now have a cutout for specifically the Lone Operative ability. Which, if you have like a Lone Operative style of effect, so like Caven Shrike says like, you can't target his unit outside 12 inches. Because it's not Lone Op, you can still like throw a Doombolt at him, which is weird. But Mephiston, like natural Lone Ops like Mephiston do not have that downside. So we're also running Commander Dante over there. Commandy Dante. The Sanguinor. Captain with Jump Pack with Ratio Warrior. A Chaplain on foot with Speed of the Primarch, so fight first once per game. What if we're taking Death Company? No, just Blade Guard Veterans, I guess. So we have a Jump Pack Assault Intercessor squad, 1 Infiltrator squad, 9 Sanguinary Guard, a unit of 6 and a unit of 3, plus a Scout squad, double Ball Predators, double Gladiator Lancers, and Impulsors. So the Gladiator Lancers are good because, first of all, they force your opponent to position against the guns, which is a big deal. They also have the opportunity, if your opponent has to like overcommit into something like Mephiston, the Gladiator Lancers can poke at them without you having to commit back with a melee unit. So like instead of having to send 6 Sanguinary Guard and Dante into something, you can just knock it with 2 Gladiator Lancers with Osa Moment, and then just call it a day and keep the rest of your army safe. Because Blood Angels typically have the threat range, superior threat range to their opponent, they get to dictate like the pace of engagement most of the time. So using like Ball Predators and Mephiston to like start these peace trades where your opponent's forced to trade down because the rest of their army has to like kind of hang back, otherwise Dante's going to do a murder on them. then like having these long range guns to be able to punch them, like to poke at them when they do that, is really powerful. So we have a Blade Guard veteran squad with the chaplain. So he's going to give fights first. So they're a really good bulwark to like wander up to the middle of the table. We also have an impulsor for them, I believe. Yeah, we do have an impulsor. So they can kind of like take over the middle. Even if you kill the impulsor and then the unit disembarks, they're battle shocked, but speed of the Primarch is an enhancement, not a stratagem. So it doesn't care whether or not they're battle shocked. So they will just get to fight first into you if you charge them. So they will almost assuredly take over an objective if your opponent can't like one tap the impulsor and then line up to shoot the contents with another unit. They're basically guaranteed to hold down the objective that they're on because you're almost certainly not charging them. And then they're rerolling once they hit. The chaplain gives the whole unit +1 to wound. So even if you're a big thing, they're wounding on 5s, and they're going to put enough damage into you that maybe they won't kill something like super big, but they'll certainly tune it up to the point where like 3 Sanguinary Guard can kill them. And then we have it looks like Dante probably with the 6-man Sanguinary Guard, Jump Pack Captain with the 3-man, so we can trade it for easier stuff. Plus he's a Ragefield Warrior, so he just gets that like once per game, just like hyper bump in power, which is cool. The sustained hits 3. You target the thing he's about to charge with us a moment, and then he goes in and fishes for sustained 3s and gets 1 billion attacks. Their strength 9. They go to strength 11 on the charge in Liberator, because he also improves his strength on the charge with his leadership ability. And then the Sanguinary Guard also go to strength 9 as well. So they will hit hard enough to even kill light vehicles and stuff. And that unit's like, it's not as expensive as the 300 point or the 240 point brick of 6. So you're much more likely to trade that down into things and then force your opponent to deal with your 4+ invulns. So like the name of the game is that you want to like skirmish with Mephiston and the Ball Predators early to make your opponent like overexpose themselves. And then you have a big go turn where like you just like run everything at them. You can run the Blade Guard veterans up the mid with the Impulsor, Sanguinary Guard like hit with Dante because he's really fast. You trade the other Sanguinary Guard unit for something, and then your opponent can't deal with everything with all the 4+ invulns, and they just fall over. Seems pretty good, chat. Gabester 1999, newer player can use the same stratagem more than once as long as it doesn't say. So you can use stratagems once during each phase. You cannot duplicate a stratagem during the same phase unless you have a special ability, but you can use them multiple times over the course of a battle. You have to pay the cost each time, obviously, but yeah, as long as you don't duplicate them within the same phase, you're good to go. All right, we're looking for orcs. Hippie hunters looking for orcs. Personal experience, the full death company with buffs do really well into wraiths. Yeah, like mass 2 to 3 damage is really good into wraiths. And then the wraiths don't hit back very hard because you have the -1 damage. Let's take a peek at Edmonton and ACO. Oh, excuse me, chat. I'm a little sleepy. I ended up staying up late last night working on new maps for T5S2 for the new layouts. Those will likely be up, if not tonight. The full versions, I should say, will likely be up. If not tonight, they'll be up tomorrow. And I'd like to stream a game after this, so we will likely stream one with those new maps. I'm striking out on Cult of Speed here, chats. Well, Orks absolutely sucked at Atlantic City. Oh my god. Jesus. We saw some really good Orc games on the team stream. But it seems like all the team players this weekend, or all the Orc players this weekend, were running in teams because Orks had a tough time. Jesus. I don't believe that there are any Cult of Speed that I can see, chat. And in fact, not even that many Orks in general. Nobody cares about army-wide advance and charge, I guess. Yep, I'm striking out here. Oh, we found one. We found one. I got it. I've got it, chats. Over here. Turns out the extra kick and that's for MFM was unnecessary. Yeah, I don't disagree. Orks are weird. Orks, like, I have a suspicion that there's something weird, like, from a corporate standpoint that happens when Orks become good. And I don't know what it is, but I think that Orks, like, they must have like a weird perceptual impact on the game when they're strong, because they get nerfed so fast when they're good, right? Like instantaneously. Oh, Orks were good for a season? Fuck them. Just like increase the cost of everything. Super nerf for their detachments. Like Mordaka, I think was like kind of a special case because Mordaka was like clearly statistically too powerful, but like Green Tide was like fringe playable for like a month and they nerfed it like 7 times. Like what the fucking Green Tide, dude? Like just an army that was mostly just a bunch of idiots running around, and like they nerfed its ability, they nerfed its stratagems, they nerfed its points cost. They hit it like 3 or 4 different ways. Crazy. And they've done that several times over the course of the season or of the edition, and I don't understand. I wonder if it's a thing that like because they tend to play aggressively, they like it's like a negative play experience or something, and it's like it drives people off the game. I don't know. I don't understand, but it feels to me like Orks get nerfed faster than anything else if they're good. And I don't really get it. Death Guard killed all the Orks. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, although that matchup is atrocious for sure. But it didn't seem like hyper unplayable. Like the game that we streamed in the final match was really close between Orks and Death Guard. And I think that if Death Guard had less material on the table, they probably would have lost that game. Like if Death Guard points go up like 10 to 15%, which is probably is what I would expect, then Orks actually, I think they probably win that game. And I don't even know if it's like that close in the game we streamed over the weekend. Like there was like 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators left, and then like some utility stuff. And like Gaskell was just like untouched, like wandering around. There were like still Ork characters and stuff. It seemed really good. Big model counts always get booped. Yeah, but it feels like it's more than a big model count thing, because like they're non-horde archetypes also get hit too. Like Tactical Brigade. Tactical Brigade is the perfect example. Tactical Brigade was a very good army. In like the going into the December update, so 6 months ago, Tactical Brigade was like pretty strong, and you could play a couple different archetypes, and like flash kits were really good and stuff. And they nerfed its detachment mechanic, and they nerfed all of its points. They nerfed its squig bombs, which to be fair were probably broken, so that's fine. They like pumped points on everything, so they nerfed it like 3-ish different ways, the normal archetype that Orks played. And it was not that good. It was strong, but it wasn't strong to the point that no one else was competing with it. So it was like a, I don't know, like top 5 archetype in the meta or whatever. And they were just like, we're going to nuke you into the ground, and also release Tactical Brigade, or Mordaka, which was stupid. That was a mistake. But like that wasn't a horde list. It was like a cool combined arms list, and it had like a cool flash kits unit in it. But like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't understand. was weird. It was a weird one. That blew my mind. Anyway, let's talk about orcs. So this is the Iberian Ham GT. This event was 41 players. We had one orc player, Kuro. I can't roll my R's. My mouth is dry. There's no way. Kuro La Orden, running orcs, running a Cult of Speed. Who, by the way, perfect, dead even win rate, 2-2-1. 2 losses, 2 wins, 1 draw. We found a way. A natural 90-90 at the end. That's wild. So what is Kuro running here? So first of all, it's Cult of Speed, so we have to talk about what Cult of Speed does. Because I have to remind myself because I fucking have never played this attachment in my life. So the unit gets advance, and shoot, and charge. Or advance, fallback, shoot, and charge on any Speed Freaks unit, which is basically like bikers, sports cars. Are trucks Speed Freaks? No, they're just guys. Although they are in Speed Freaks now. I was playing some yesterday, and I played a truck. It's fucking weird. It's the weirdest, maybe the weirdest unit in that game. I don't understand. It's a strange one. Probably the highest damage output in the game, though. I think it's crazy. It's literally open topped, which is kind of cool. We have stratagems for battle shocks when you move near units, which doesn't really matter. You can force battle shocks to an enemy within 9 at -1. Cool. Situationally useful. You can give +1 to wound on the charge, so literally lance, but it doesn't say it. It stacks with lance if you had it otherwise, but I don't think any orcs do. Lethal hits and critical 5 up if you shoot somebody within 9 inches. You can use a 5+ invuln for any Speed Freaks or truck units. 4+ invuln for vehicles with 8 or less, toughness 8 or less. Okay, that's really good. A 1 CP sustained hits 1. And sustained hits 2 while you're targeting a unit with a 9. Doesn't stack with the improved critical hits, though, so it's sad. And then a 6-inch reactive move. So we are being fast and we are being annoying to get engaged with. We are playing a Death Killer Wartrike Gazgul, who is, in fact, this might come to as a shock, chat, not a Speed Freak. We've got a battle wagon, triple Boomdaka Snaz wagons. We're just being sweaty on Kill or on Death Race. Also good on Kill Convoy. Boomdaka Snaz wagons, super strong. We call them the Boomdaka Sweat Wagon in my gaming group because they're really good in Speed Freaks. This little friendo. They're really trying to make him work with the stratagems. He's 9 wounds at T7 with a 12-inch move. Has an assault. The assault doesn't matter because you can advance, shoot, and charge with anything in this. With some Speed Freaks keyword in this attachment. He's a rapid fire 4-inch range gun, strength 5 AP 1, 1 damage, sustain 1. So up to 16 shots, but still only ballistic skill 5. But I think the hope is that like it's sustained 1, and you can give it sustained lethals for a CP. And if you target something close to you, then you're critical 5 up. So you're critical 5 up, sustain lethal, but you're still on the AP 1, not ignore cover. And that's still only like, what, 5 lethal sustains? Maybe 6 on a good day. So you are handing your opponent 6 AP 1 saves, plus like maybe 2 to 3 more from natural wound rolls. So like maybe 8 saves. Not even that great. And it does have like 5 extra shots from like random guns, but whatever. Interesting. 70 points for an OC3, move 12 vehicles. Something, I guess. Double Def Cop does, double Gretchen, triple custom Booster Blasters. These guys have a rapid fire 3 6-shot, strength 8 AP 1 2 damage gun, plus a torrent. And they give enemies -1 to hit. What they should do is move over terrain features, because that's what they fucking do in Speed Freaks. They go crazy. Interesting. Oh, but the Snaz Wagons give enemies within 6 inches of them -1 to hit on all attacks, excluding monsters and vehicles. So they're like a good screen, I guess. That's the Snaz Wagons, because they have their smoke screen. So they can run forward and then smoke screen enemies, which could be good, I guess. Booster blasters, I guess, are okay for like longer range shooting. And then we have a Mega Knobs unit for Gaskull plus triple Megatrack Scrap Jet. Which I think is a little bit more melee oriented. They've got a bunch of rocket launches, strength 9 AP 2-3 damage. They have 1 off the side plus a blast weapon for D6 plus 1 from their cannon. And then they do impact mortals on a 2+ D3 mortal wounds. If they roll a 6, it's a flat 3. And they're swinging for strength 8, AP 1-2 damage. Man, that's not even that great on the nose drill attack. And they're only T7 for tank shocking too. They're cheap though. That's good. And then triple rocket truck squeak buggies, triple shock jump dragsters. So the dragsters are faster and more annoying to pin down. When you advance, they redeploy themselves, and then that allows them to still shoot because you're playing Cult of Speed. They have a D3 blast rocket shot and 1 precision devastating shock rifle shot. It's only strength 8 AP1 D6 plus 1 damage. I guess it's on 3s, which is okay, but only strength 8 for 1 attack. Okay. And then a Warbiker unit. I imagine a lot of this, the benefit of this is like, you do eventually get damage through to people with like a volume of attacks. The Def Copters are interesting, but they're only small units. I think that's where like a lot of you really want to be putting like the offensive strats. Because if you can put like sustain 2 or critical 5+ lethal onto a Def Copter unit, like now we're talking with damage, because you're firing probably like 12 pretty high impact rocket shots. And they're fast enough to get into that 9-inch like range band too. But I guess also like this list in particular has like enough individual activations that, first of all, I don't know how you deploy this list. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 big oval bases. Seems like a lot. I don't know. I feel like you'd run out of space. But it's probably very good at scoring, I imagine, because it just has so many like fast units that can run around everywhere all the time. I don't know how much damage you're doing with them, but you're definitely scoring okay. Did the buggies get twin linked in the update? Maybe. Let's look. I am reading 39K right now, and if they've lied to me again, then I don't know what to do. It would have been in balanced data slate. I don't see anything. Just the declared advance and declare a charge bonus. You're good at like tying things up too, right? Like you can run a bunch of stuff around, and then you can also like tie a bunch of things. I don't know if there's maybe there's an Ork Codex FAQ or like an errata that would change that. I doubt it though. Yeah, no, none of this stuff is twin linked. At least according to what I'm reading here. That would maybe be interesting if you were throwing twin linked attacks at people. Like, at least you would have the opportunity to deal chip damage to people, right? With like just like mass shooting from the like Boosta Blastas and the like shock jumps maybe, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird unit archetype. Like Games Workshop has certainly made like the light vehicles work in the past. They just didn't really. It didn't seem like they really tried that hard with the buggies. Like they're so squishy. They're a 4-up save T7, so they're just gonna die to like random trash, right? You're gonna shoot a couple heavy bolters and accidentally kill one of these guys. They don't. Their weapon profile isn't good enough to like trade into anything. Basically, like none of their weapons actually fight. Like if you went to go fight another utility unit with one of these things, you would do nothing and then you would die, which is like wild. Like one of these kids, like you compare this to like jump pack intercessors or something, and you're like a big vehicle, and you wander up and you shoot them with all your guns, and you do on average literally no damage, and then they like one tap you with their like jump pack squad in melee. Like they like overcharge their 2 pistols and hit you for 4 damage, and you're halfway dead. And then like impact attacks bring you to 2, and then they just kill you with their power fist. Like I don't know. But like there are good examples of this like style. The problem is that they're very big, so they can't do like Invader ATB stuff where they just like are this little like high impact little thing. So they need to be higher. Like they need to be a higher impact unit, right? They need to have better weapon skills. They need to have more impactful range attacks. They need to have higher stats everywhere if they want this unit to be playable. But I don't know. Just give them all indirect, yeah, easy. Yeah, the Squig Buggy's like probably the best one out of the bunch, but even that's like not saying much. Squig Buggy. The Squig Buggy has 1 trillion shots. D6 plus 6 blast, ignore cover. It's funny that so like the Wreck-A-Truck Squig Buggy has the I don't have its data sheet saved off the top here, chat. Unfortunately, let me see if I can pull it up. For some reason, it's the most expensive one, and it has indirect fire, and its weapon profile is just the best, which is like pretty wild. Thought I had it saved, chat. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Nice. We found it. Life found a way. So yeah, D6 plus 6, strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. So you're averaging between 9 and 10 shots, like based on blast and your dice roll. Even if you just look at your target, right, you're probably getting 3 to 4 hits that, you know, you'll convert like 2 or 3 AP 1 ignore cover 2 damage saves into something. Which is like, it's not good, but it's much better than the other stuff. The downside is that like they upcharged it for indirect fire, which I don't even really understand why they have. Like it's like this pneumatic mortar, I guess, and like the squigs are supposed to like hunt you down. Maybe I think is why it has indirect. But like, just make it a direct fire gun and then make these things like really cheap, and then I think they're actually playable. Oh, and they get +1 at hit against infantry. So like, it's hitting on 4s against like most of your utility stuff. It's like actually legitimately kind of a good unit. But it's weird that all of the other trucks or all of the other buggies are so underpowered. Like imagine if these were all like a 4+ ballistic skill base, but they had like a +1 to hit against particular unit types, right? Like squig buggies and or you could make it so that squig buggies are like extra effective if they can see you or something. And then you can give like boom dakas +1 to hit against infantry. You can give like Boost the blast does like a hit bonus if they like do something, if they're like far away from you. Shock Jump Jax could have a hit bonus against like characters or like vehicles. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can do. And make them like more consistent, but only in very specific situations. And then, but this is the only one that actually seems like it's doing anything. And even then, that's like not that much. Like if it weren't for the indirect fire, if you just cut indirect fire off this thing and you made it like 70 points, I think it would see play. What's one to hit versus walkers? Also, Squig Mine triggers at a 4. That's a feel bads. Why is it Gaskell and not a war boss with the Land Raider enhancement? I don't know. I don't know if I'm up on the current incarnation of Speed Freaks or Cult of Speed composition. So like you can do Disembark after transforming a normal move and still charge. It's 35 points though. The other thing is that you get I guess it is like Gaskell in a battle wagon, huh? So we're like already kind of like putting all the everything into him. Oh, excuse me. I don't know. I imagine that because Gaskell has the WOG like lethal hit aura, you can get actually a little bit of work out of the melee profiles potentially. If you like rock that into all the Megatrack Scrapjets charging or something, you might actually be able to hit something for damage. But I don't know why the Megatrap Scrapjets got like such a downgrade on their melee profiles. In 9th edition, they weren't good, but they actually had a pretty solid melee profile. I think it was just a rocket launcher, but they used it in melee, which was like, cool. That's neat. And now they just suck. So I don't know. It's weird. Nice. The other thing is that like we're not really taking Warbikers, which sort of feel like a shoe-in for this detachment. Like units of 3 Warbikers, they have a bunch of ranged attacks. Warbikers are twin-linked. I think maybe that's what we were talking about earlier. They get +1 AP within 9 inches of their target and +2 attacks. So that, like 3 Warbikers shoots 15 times. With twin linked, although their base ballistic skill's not that good, so I don't know if we're that even excited about it. But then they hit you with a power claw in melee, and they contribute 6 OC to your objective. So like they're like just good as a utility unit, and then giving them permanent advance and charge means that you're like always gonna potentially get hit by them. That would be the direction I would go in, I think, if I was playing Cult of Speed. Does Gaz also have the 5+ critical aura? He grants his unit 5+ criticals on the WOG turn only. So the aura is only lethal hits on melee only as well. So none of it synergizes with the ranged stratagems. Otherwise, you could do the 5+ sustain too, which would be kind of neat. Unlike a Defcopter squad on the WOG turn, you could pay a CP to get sustained hits too. On a 5+, but yeah, sustained hits too, and like either lethal hits or whatever. But you can't do that. Yeah, I think that Gaskell's just in here because he's a guy. He's a big guy. Alt is a good team thing. Yeah, I don't know if I believe in this version of Cult of Speed, to be perfectly honest. I bet it does more damage than we're kind of giving it credit for, but it also, like, it seems like it wanders into fixed secondaries really badly. Because, like, you will, Max, bring it down against it. There's no way you don't. Like, this stuff is, like, made of paper. And, it feels like Cult of Speed really wants to take big bricks of dudes, because all their stratagems are good on, like, a big unit of 6 bikers or Def Copters or something. I think that'd be probably okay. It doesn't do more damage? Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Def Copters are definitely, I think, the way to go for sure. They also, like, you want the big reactive move on them. You want all to concentrate all the buffs onto a big, like, shooting platform. It also kind of feels that they're trying to push you into Warbikers, but the Warbiker baseline profile is, like, super trash. Again, if any of this stuff was, like, 4+ ballistic skill and, like, a base AP1, it would actually be pretty good. But 10th edition, they had to reduce everything's effectiveness in shooting, so everybody got trash-ass offensive stats. All right, chat. Should we go back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting over here? I think we're done talking about Space Marines. There's a little Dark Angels energy over here, which is kind of cool. But I think that we can talk about some other factions if we want to. I did put an earmark in the Grey Knights list from Atlantic City Open, which I think I'd like to talk about. Is the Def Killer War Trike worth it? I don't know. Gives you auto 6 advances, right? And then +1 to hit in melee. Problem is, like, the regular Warbikers are, like, not very good in melee. But at least, like, you get the Knob and the War Trike with multi-damage weapons. I do like him quite a bit. You also get a heavy flamer that you can advance and shoot with. That it also benefits from the +1 AP if you attack something with a 9. Yeah, I'd play him probably. They're also kind of, like, randomly cheap, right? They're like 90 points. 80 points. Chat, Def Killer War Trikes are 80 points. All right, let's for a little bit of a fun experiment. Let's compare literally any of the actual race cars to this character that you can take 3 of, like a character unit. I can grab his datasheet, and I have to find it in my datasheet pool here. Or I just give up because I have no idea where it is. These are so, like, I have all the datasheets saved, but I don't label them all because they never get used. Okay, I found them. So sometimes I just, like, hunt for the picture. All right, here we go. So compared to the actual cars that are in either the same cost or more expensive than the Def Killer War Trike, or around the same cost or more expensive, the Def Killer War Trike reduces its toughness by 1. Sad. However, it gains the mounted keyword instead of vehicle. Happy, because so much less stuff is anti-mounted versus anti-vehicle. You get a Strength 5 AP0 assault weapon, which probably doesn't matter. But you also get a Strength 5 Torrent, which is honestly probably the same amount of damage that you are going to be doing with your shooting from, like, a Boomdack Astasmag anyway. You could turn that into a Melt-A-Gun if you want to as well, which is kind of neat. And you get 4 straight 10 AP2 2-damage melee attacks. You get flat 6 advance, and you can situationally get a +1 to hit as well in melee. And these, like, the same cost as the buggies. Like, I don't understand. He's so much better. Like, actually hits in melee. What a god. Yeah, and he can take enhancements for sure. Yeah, these guys, they seem great. They also, like, interestingly, you see their play in Warhorde quite a bit with Super Cyborg Body, just because they're hard to kill, right? Like, there's no other reason than for the fact that you get an 80-point character who's, like, kind of obnoxious. He's basically a lone operative because your opponent does the math in their head, and they're like, oh. So you're going to -1 to wound me, so I'm wounding on, like, 5s or 4s with everything, basically. And then you're a 5+ invuln into a 4+ feel no pain. I guess I'll give up. And then they just like go home. And they don't even try. Because the amount of work it takes to kill these guys is like so much higher. And then he just wanders around and stabs scouts with his power claw for a while. This guy's 80 points. He's much worse than a Lord Discordant, to be fair. Because Lord Discordants have like a legit gun, a 3 damage melee attack, an extra attack, like more wounds and toughness. But it's not different. It's not that much different in terms of concept. Anyway, chat. I'd like to talk about Grey Knights now. Let's do that. So Matt Huber from ACO lost round 1 with Grey Knights. First of all, good sticking with it. Goes to show you, don't give up after a round 1 loss because you can just sweep the rest of the tournament potentially. What did we win with? So we're playing Warpaint Task Force with a Tech Marine. First of all, interesting. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen a Tech Marine on the battlefield. We have a Grandmaster, Nemesis Dread Knight, Double Strike Squads, Interceptor Squad, Triple Regular Nemesis Dread Knight, 25 Purifiers. No characters for them. Just 25 Purifiers. So we're just... It's so funny because like this detachment has very steadily moved farther and farther away from Purifier play, and to like more and closer to just like just running Nemesis Dread Knights. And yeah, that's just what we're doing today. Let's go. That's wild. Not even a Castling Crow unit. We're just taking a bunch of guys, and they're not even running incinerators, so we are just meleeing people. We just have like this super aggressive melee boat and then a Calidus Assassin in there. So we have a lot of backline shooting from the Nemesis Dread Knights that can like hop around the table and be annoying. There's a 5-man Purifier squad to give them rerolls, or to act as a beacon for the 10-man Purifier squads to 6-inch deep strike and then charge. And then we're just like making 6-inch deep strike charges. I like this list. This list is a level of simplicity that I aspire to. Yeah, game 1, you just fail the 6-inch charges. Game 2, we made them. Let's go, boys. Yep. That is wild. What a cool result. All right, chat. Anything else that we want to talk about? I think we've done a big discussion on Space Marines. Definitely feels like there's still a lot of interesting design spaces or development space of Space Marines, and I think that people just have to get a little bit more creative than they have been just by playing Gladius. And the other faction, Black Templars, is about to get a new supplement, so they're probably going to be good. Did Wrath of the Rock get played? I did not see any off the top that were doing well. The top Dark Angel at ACO was 89th place. Seems like they were nailing it, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know about any Dark Angels chat. I saw a couple X2s. There's one from Iberian Ham. Calm down, kitty. They did play Wrath of the Rock. She just wants brushes right now. Daniel Humebolch Does it count as a win if you take 69th place at Emperor's Children? I think so. Did win Wrath of the Rock, Asriel, Lionel Johnson, a Terminator Captain with Deathwing Assault. That's an early Deep Strike. Why do these guys have so many Lion or Wrath focused detachments? Yeah, Deathwing. You could Deep Strike on first turn regardless of mission rules. Cool. You can also Rapid Ingress top of one with Rapid with that one. Oh no, your movement phase. Just kidding. You can't. Just kidding. It doesn't have the verbiage like Hunter's Instinct or whatever, where you treat the battle round as one higher. We have a Judiciar with the damage amp. Ancient Weapons, plus your strength, plus 1 AP, plus 1 damage. Pretty good one. Company Open Lieutenants. 6 Plague Guard Veterans. Centurion Devastator Squad. Deathwing Knights times 2. Hellblaster Squad. That might be where Azrael's hanging out, actually. It looks like it is. So we can use Relics of the Dark Age for plus 2 strength, so they can go to strength 10. Then they have the Invulnerable save for the Crackback, plus a sustained hits, thanks to Azrael. It's actually kind of spicy. And you can advance, shoot, and charge with that unit as well, which is cool. Infiltrator Squad, double Scouts, plus an Outrider Squad. Very light on the Ravenwing stuff. That's okay. Here you go, chat. 3 and 2 with Wrath. Plus against mortal wounds. Does Azrael also give you defense against mortal wounds? Does he have 3 leadership abilities? Oh, if you tank, if you summon a Watcher. I see. Yeah, he just has a Watcher. So you could use it there, I guess. If you like fail 2 sets of hazardous, you can be like, maybe I guess I'll use my 4+. Alright, Repentia, Fire Sting play in Sisters? Not really. They see play in Champions of Faith, but the other detachments aren't really playing them. We did talk about Berserker Warband twice, or yesterday, actually, a little bit. And on the on Best Armors in 40K this morning, or yesterday morning. Lots of Berserker Warband. What do I think of Barbed Hyrule? I think I have 3 of them, and I can't play them. That's what I think about Barbed Hyrule. Ooh, anyway, chat. I am fading actually a little bit here, so we might call it early on this one. Thanks for coming and hanging out with our new later airtime. I believe, be trying to get a game in later this evening. Again, I have I'm gonna get some work done on these T5S2 maps. I'll try to play a game on them later. I think it's going to be a Subterranean Assault game because I have 2 events that I need to submit lists for tonight or tomorrow. Tonight, I think. And so I might try an alternate Subterranean Assault version and see how I like it, and if I like it better than the regular one I've been playing. But yeah, I think that's going to be the plan for later this evening. But it probably won't be for an hour or so until when I'm done with my other stuff. Are these the fixed due times? Yeah, so I think we're just going to be streaming at 2 p.m. US Eastern on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm interested in exploring the possibility of streaming on YouTube other days as well, but to be perfectly frank, chat, I'm not very good at coming up with things to talk about. So I think I would run out of things to discuss. So I don't, that's why I don't do that. But I would kind of like to. I just don't always have very pertinent things to go through. But at the very least, there'll be new videos and stuff. Anyway, folks, I'll see you over on Twitch probably later this evening. Keep it classy, happy wargaming, all that stuff. And I am going to hop out. Cheers, everyone.